SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
You're listening to Sports Talk Mississippi On Demand, presented by Pearl River Resort. Escape to Choctaw, Mississippi and enjoy world-class gaming, the Dancing Rabbit Golf Club, and Geyser Falls Water Park. Escape to Pearl River Resort.
Sports Talk Mississippi is on the air. Sports Talk Mississippi is powered by C-Spire. Power your home or business with C-Spire Fiber. To learn more, visit supertalk.fm/C-Spire. C-Spire Fiber powers SuperTalk Mississippi. To the junction, in the Grove, and to the top. This is Sports Talk Mississippi. On your radio and in the game, right here on Super Talk Mississippi.
Welcome in on a Friday, and just a PSA, be safe out there. We have a statewide audience. You guys are everywhere. They let school out early here in the metro area. There has been some severe weather across the state. I shouldn't even say this because I'm not a meteorologist. I don't think it's like going to be one of those historic tornado days, but flooding, storms, all that. Again, they let kids out early here in the area.
A 70-degree day in January is usually not a good indicator.
Not a good indicator. So severe weather across the state. Be safe out there because we got 3 hours of sports talk coming your way. I'm Michael Borky. He's Brian Haydad. Ole Miss, Miami played an awesome football game. It was kind of just like a standard game until the fourth quarter, and then boom, 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 just punches thrown, haymakers. Excellent finish. Ole Miss coming up just short, had the ball in the air. I think if Trinidad threw it a little bit shorter and maybe more to the inside, they would have had a chance at maybe winning that game. But Ole Miss falls short to Miami in another classic college football playoff game. We'll talk about that. The NCAA has ruled on Trinidad's waiver while he was in the air on the way home. After losing that heartbreaking game, it was denied, but the story does not end there. We will talk about that. We got to do our portal update as well. We got to talk about basketball. Ole Miss basketball is canceled, but Mississippi State's got a game tomorrow that we will get to as well. A lot of your messages, reaction, and more on this Friday.
Plenty to talk about on a Friday. One of our more loaded Friday shows we've had in quite some time, especially since the regular season ended, and we are glad you're here with us in the Pearl River Resort studios. PearlRiverResort.com is the place to book your next weekend of entertainment, of fine eating, of, whatever that is that you enjoy doing on the weekend or during the week. Heck, take some time off for yourself and enjoy it at PearlRiverResort.com. C-Spire text line open to you, 601-879-4395. In sports and business, having the right team behind you matters. Partner with C-Spire today for business solutions from dedicated certified IT engineers. Learn more at C-Spire.com. C-Spire, inspired by you.
All right, do we start with the game or do we start with the breaking news from a little bit earlier? Which one
you
should
start
we lead
with the game.
Okay, so we'll lead with the game. Miami 31, Ole Miss 27. Trinidad Chambliss and the Ole Miss offense got off to a rough start, absent Kewan Lacey's long touchdown run, but he ended up dazzling in the fourth quarter. He was 23 of 37 for 277 and a touchdown. Kewan Lacey, 11 carries, 103 yards, and a touchdown. On that touchdown run, had a hamstring injury, and Logan Diggs had to play. And even in the second half when Lacey came back into the game, which, by the way, what a tough SOB he is. AC joint, shoulder, all banged up, wrapped up, all that stuff. Probably got some feel-good shots in there before the game. And then he messes up his hamstring, and he still plays anyway. But they couldn't run the football. They tried, and he did some nice things on the ground, but he wasn't the same after that. And that was a key point in the game. More on that later. Though. DeJon Stribling had 77 yards on 5 catches. Caden Lee had 67 on 5. Daquan Wright had 64 and a touchdown on 3. That was a big touchdown at the time. Just was not enough. Daugherty led Ole Miss in tackles. He had 11, including a sack and a TFL. Ole Miss sacked Carson Beck 4 times in the game. That's the most sacks that Miami has given up all season, if you can believe that. But it still was not enough. Carson Beck Threw for 268 on 23 of 37 for 2 touchdowns and that 1 interception. Fletcher was what we thought he was going to be. He had 133 yards on 22 carries. Brown added 54 on 14 carries. 191 rushing yards for Miami in the game. Keelan Marion, also good, had 114 yards on 7 receptions. Malachi Toney, remember that name, ladies and gentlemen.
Star.
Remember that name. He should be playing high school, or, well, their season would be over. He should be getting ready for prom right now. That's what he should be doing right now, and he was doing that last night.
Superstar.
Yeah, man. He was a special
I think we saw maybe
player.
the best catches of all time in the NFL and in college football in the last month between the Puka catch and that catch, but neither one of them counted.
It was unbelievable.
But those were both ridiculous catches.
What is it, Big Cat from Barstool, that says there should be like one play a game where it was too cool to overturn?
Cool to overturn. Yeah. Like you get a black flag for that one. You throw it. It's like, nah, you're not. No, we can't. It's too cool.
So Ole Miss loses. They had a chance there at the end. I mean, there's a lot of things that we'll talk about. Third down defense for Ole Miss. 11 of 19 for Miami on third down. I think the average distance was 7 yards.
Because that was something that I can't tell you how many times watching the game I was like, it's 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7. I was like, all right, good spot for Ole Miss, and Beck would find a way to, if nothing else, give them a manageable fourth down. But he converted a lot of those,
them, and they were they got stopped short twice, and went for it on fourth down and got both of them.
Yeah.
Some missed tackles for Ole Miss. That's been a theme all year, unfortunately. They've had guys in positions to make plays. Centurion Perkins last night, uncharacteristically so, missed 2 big tackles early in the game that would have gotten his defense off the field. But, I mean, if we're being honest with ourselves, Ole Miss, they've done it all year. That's a mentally tough football team. They scratched and clawed and fought their way right back into the game. They took a lead late and all that. Miami was the much more physical football team in this game. Frankly, the way the two teams played last night, Miami deserved to win the game. Ole Miss would have stolen one if they had come out of there with a win. We talked about it, Miami's physicality. Ole Miss couldn't match it, and they did some good things defensively in the second half. They got to Beck. They sacked him 4 times. But that Miami offensive line and the running backs, they just kept that Ole Miss defense on the field for way too long, and that was the difference in the game. The better team last night won the game, and Miami was that, and they did it through physicality and keeping that Ole Miss offense off the field.
Yeah, you just can't help but wonder if Lane Kiffin had been coach.
Oh, gee.
He would have probably gone for it on fourth down instead of kicking all those field goals. Might have found a way. I don't know.
Or not gotten any points, and then
we'll never know. We'll just never know. Yeah, you're right. Like, this was a game that Ole Miss. 2 things can be true, right? Miami was taking it to Ole Miss for most of this game,
especially in the first half.
Yeah, and on the line of scrimmage, they were the superior team on both sides of the ball. Which, going back to what we talked about yesterday, we said that was going to be a huge key. Also, Ole Miss made some plays that gave Miami opportunities. I mean, Chambliss should have had 4 picks in this game.
Should have.
I mean, straight up, should have had 4 interceptions. And I know, I don't want to Kellenberger it and tell you about almost interceptions, but that's what happened. And yet, Miami just kept shooting themselves in the foot. They'd have dumb penalties. Their refusal to run the football. The flea flicker play is the ultimate.
What are you doing?
You are gashing this team. They cannot stop you running the football, and you run a flea flicker. I thought the funniest tweet of the night was Ari Wasserman. On the next possession, he tweeted, they'd never expect the flea flicker again here. Just like, you're correct. They would probably score on that one.
Oh, and I learned something in that flea flicker, by the way.
I did not know that rule, that once you hand the ball off, intentional grounding can no longer be called. I did not know that. So
or you cannot throw the ball away. It's right. Always intentional grounding.
I've always wondered, like, sometimes a guy will run the football, and he's trying to run out wide, and they've got him behind the line of scrimmage, and I've always yelled at TV, like, throw it out of bounds. Apparently, you can't do that.
Can't do it.
I learned something last night. But at the end of the day, like Ole Miss could have won this game had they taken advantage of some opportunities that were presented to them, and they
missed tackles, man. My goodness,
missed tackles.
Couple of good drives that ended in field goals because they couldn't execute down.
Couldn't execute there. Yeah, just too many. Both teams had self-inflicted wounds, and in the end of the day, Miami had fewer of those and had more plays that they were able to make.
Fewer of those, more plays, and they controlled the pace and the tempo of the game. Andrew Jones, Ole Miss was already going to be kind of physically overmatched, as we saw. Andrew Jones getting hurt in the first quarter and getting knocked out for the game, that really put Ole Miss in a bind because he is their best run-stopping linebacker, and the guys that replaced him do not have his physicality and really got pushed around after he got hurt. So that was a big blow for Ole Miss early, too. They were already going to struggle there.
When we get to the Chambliss stuff, something was very interesting was just tweeted by Pete Thamel.
Do I follow Pete Thamel?
That's something we'll have to set up for another segment.
Yes, okay, there we go. So
we will have to talk about Trinidad Chambliss and the NCAA and the oncoming lawsuit trial of the century that we will soon see in a circuit court here in the state of Mississippi. Sports Talk Mississippi, we literally are just getting started with a huge show. Be back with us in just a minute as we got plenty to talk about after the Ole Miss College Football Playoff exit.
Special surprise for everyone.
Give it to me. More Sports Talk Mississippi right now on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Welcome back, Sports Talk Mississippi. Borky and Haydad with you, reacting to Ole Miss's loss to Miami in the semifinal last night. Good question here. Oh, go ahead.
Well, let me ask some questions of you, because you're obviously more the Ole Miss guy. The first half game plan was it bad, or was it just that Miami was affecting them that much? I didn't understand offensively. I didn't understand what Ole Miss was trying to do. They had the big run from Lacey, but even that's just I hate to say it, but like when you get a 70-yard run like that,
you didn't drive down the field.
In the midst of being dominated, it means that somebody messed up more than likely. Normally they come out, they let Chambliss get a few throws, get some rhythm. I didn't think Miami was getting that much pressure on him. I didn't understand what they were doing.
My guess is they didn't anticipate the ability to block them as well as they ultimately did. I mean, Miami didn't have a sack last night. The Ole Miss offensive line did an exceptional job.
They had one where they got him, but he was back at the line of scrimmage.
Right.
That was in the fourth quarter, I believe.
And it technically didn't count as a sack. Trinidad escaped another one as well, but I mean, Ole Miss's offensive line did a really good job, and I think it took them a while. And one, they couldn't stay on the field also. But in the second half, they just let Trinidad sling it around. They finally realized, wait a minute, these guys are bringing 6, and they're not getting home. That was the best performance pass blocking from the Ole Miss offensive line this season. And it was against those guys. They did a really good job up front. But, I think it's as simple as they didn't anticipate being able to block Miami the way they ultimately were able to.
Okay. When Lacey went out, did it feel like Ole Miss was just swimming without a rudder at that point? I've never seen Ole Miss just that vanilla. They were vanilla, and that's usually not the case.
Yeah, I'm wondering when, and if it's just something that we see, because it felt like they flipped a switch offensively and decided, you know what, let's just let him sling it, right? They just, hey, all right, let him step back and throw the ball. But why did it take you so long to get to that point, right? I don't know. But, I mean, Diggs did some nice things.
Ran the ball relatively effectively.
He's good back.
Yeah.
But he's not Lacey, though.
No.
He's not Lacey at all. The problem is more so the defense's inability to get off the field. And I think what you saw, too, because we got asked about, is it a coaching issue or personnel? I think, because a lot of people were frustrated with the lack of aggression from the Ole Miss defense last night. They did run man some people are like, oh, they ran zone all night. No, they didn't. They ran man, and guys were running wide rear end open. Beck got sacked on one, would have been a touchdown. Guy was completely uncovered on the right side of the field. They highlighted it on the broadcast. Yeah. He had an entire side of the field by himself.
Yeah.
The long touchdown, that wasn't on Daugherty, by the way. It's a safety blew an assignment. Receiver running wide open. They tried to do that. But the issue with Ole Miss's defense, and what I think the difference is between a great team, and Ole Miss is a great team. They won 13 games. That's a great team.
No. If anybody's debating that, they're wrong.
Between that and an elite team, the thing that Ole Miss is missing, this Ole Miss team is missing, is depth, playable depth on the defensive line. Their starters, very good. Mm-hmm. But when they're on the field for 80 plays and you can't put – those guys played every snap all night. And they didn't have playable depth on the line of scrimmage on defense. They couldn't rotate as much as they really like to. That's one.
All right.
And they are missing two players in the secondary. There's a couple of guys, when they're in the back end of Ole Miss's defense, they get picked on. And they are trying in the portal. They've already got one figured out, I think. You've got the Georgia safety. That's the kind of player they need badly because there's a couple of players – couple of spots in the back end of that Ole Miss defense that have fine players, but guys that play positions that need to be better if they're going to compete for and win championships. They were missing personnel in a couple of spots, and that is the difference between being a great team and being an elite team that can win a championship. You saw it. Miami was able to run right down Ole Miss's throat, and then the missed tackles in the back end, that kind of stuff. They're missing a couple of pieces. They're that close, but that's what they were missing, and that got exposed last night. And that's why Miami goes 11 of 19 on third down and stuff like that. You have to mask issues in the back end sometimes. That's why they drop 8 so much, I think. Last year, how many times did Ole Miss have the ability to be aggressive? Because you had a defensive backfield that you could trust. They couldn't do that last night because you have to hide a couple of those players. And I think that was more of what led to the conservative approach because there's one safety in particular they have to try to hide.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to get my math right here. 1, 2. All right, here's my other question. And you're talking about the defense. Does it concern you that Golding's defense is they gave up 30 points 4 games this year.
Yeah,
including twice in the playoff. Does that how big a concern is that for you?
I mean, that's a good question because you've seen him call really good quality defenses at Ole Miss, right? You've seen it where he currently is. Last year's team had, at the end of the season, the number 2 defense in college football. Mm-hmm. My concern is how personnel dependent is that?
Yeah, because last year's, you, as we know, elite personnel.
You had better players on last year's defense than this year.
And remember another thing, and we talked about it a lot this offseason, and look, Eccles, Franklin, Harris, they played well this year.
They played well last night. There's nobody else.
Remember the debate of they're not going after a lot of D linemen in the portal because they feel really good about what they have.
Well, they've added 2 already. Portal defensive linemen. They've added 2.
No, that's what I'm saying, though. Is like, was that decision the right decision now in hindsight? Should they have gone out and tried to get a couple of elite defensive linemen?
My guess would be, and this is just a guess, because there are guys that you talked about in the offseason that did not live up to what the expectation was for them. Mm-hmm. A couple of interior defensive linemen in particular this offseason that were talked about a lot, that they had high expectations for, that didn't play when it mattered. So maybe it was a missed eval or something like that. But you're seeing how aggressive they've been defensively in the portal, where they think they're lacking. They've already added 2 linebackers. When Jones went out last night, the linebacker position was so bad. Daugherty can only do so much.
Yeah.
They were really bad last night.
Well, that's why
they've aggressively attacked safety. There's a reason for that.
Keaton Thomas and Chris Jones. That's why
they need more size on the defensive line. They've added 2 of the, and I think they're going to try to add more.
Okay.
But yeah, hey, I'm wondering too if him being head coach and play caller is what he's going to maintain moving forward.
That's interesting because the defensive coordinator they brought in doesn't strike me as just like this can't miss guy.
And they've got Brian Brown there already too, which so they have co-DCs and also him calling plays.
Like, it's tough to get a top defensive coordinator when your head coach is the defensive coordinator. Now, Saban was able to do it, but he's Saban, right? It's a little different. People want to work for him. Golding doesn't have that same cachet. So that if you said what's your biggest concern about Ole Miss going into the offseason, we'll have to see how the Chambliss thing plays out because the quarterback could easily jump to the top of the list. But right now, it is how does Golding handle being head coach and defensive coordinator? And 2 of his 3 years at Ole Miss, the defense has been, we'll say, good. It's been okay. They had one elite year. Nobody can take that away.
And like this year, the back half of the season, they were
better,
but not like So yeah, they have got these portal additions have to hit. I guess is really what will make or break that defense next year because who you got coming back. You've got all but Harris on the defensive line coming back. Perkins coming back. They haven't announced it. The assumption is Daughtery's coming back unless he goes to the NFL. I don't think he's good enough to go to the NFL compared to what he'll get paid to play in college, but that's just me. You've got Braxton in the secondary who you want back. He's coming back. Kite coming back as well, but they've got to fill the rest with portal hits.
Yeah, they've got to get in the portal and get some work done, no doubt.
And they've got to hit. Yeah, that's tough. It really is. And then, of course, the staff hires have to be good on the other side, right? Because you're keeping everybody defensively. You know exactly what you have defensively. John David Baker's got to be a hit.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he's got familiarity with the system. He's running the same system, so that helps.
Right.
What about quarterback? What's that going to be? We'll talk about that probably starting the 4 o'clock hour. Because there's messages and stuff. I think we should stick to the game at least for a little while longer and then get to the waiver situation.
There's one we can't read, but that's okay. Other than that.
Oh, that's okay. 601-879-4395, the C Spire text line. We will be right back.
From the Seabrook.com, Sports Talk Mississippi is back.
This is it.
Super Talk Mississippi.
Welcome back to Sports Talk Mississippi. Michael Borky, Brian Haydad. So glad that you guys are with us. So somebody's upset with you because you said Georgia scored 30, but their offense didn't score 30 because the Lacey touchdown.
Oh, no. I just said they gave up 30. Technically correct.
So it was 27 instead of 30.
Yeah. Whatever.
Defensively, they did play well the other night in the Sugar Bowl. They did. They absolutely did. Somebody says, I partly believe Kiffin thought this was going to be a down year, so most of the money was spent on wide receivers and offense so they could try to outscore everyone or at least hear about a great Kiffin offense. Last year with great defensive players and the defense was great, I think Pete's defense will be fine. They most certainly outspent the defense going into this season, without a doubt. 100%, yes, they did, by a rather significant margin. They did. But man, 11 of 19 on third down is just hard to... Because people are talking about other things. I understand why people are talking about officiating at the end of the game. You could have very easily thrown a flag for defensive pass interference on the last play of the game. But as Pete Golding said after the game, he was like, yeah, there was contact, but that happens all the time. That's not why we lost. That's not why Ole Miss lost the game. They lost because 11 of 19 on third down. They lost because their defense couldn't get off the field. They've got to fix that stuff. And they're changing their spending habits defensively this offseason. We can put it that way. That's for sure.
I mean, that should be expected. You have a defensive head coach now. I mean, it's just simple mathematics at this point.
Yeah. So. But at the end of the day, I was on Chuck Oliver this morning, and Chuck is a believer in Pete Golding. He's like, he seems authentic. I think it's going to work. And the authenticity is the right word. The players buy into him because they think he legitimately cares about them and that kind of stuff. They buy into him. What he's done, I don't know what will happen down the road. I don't know if he'll win 50 games in 5 years like Kiffin did. I don't know if he's going to just keep taking this thing higher and higher and higher, or it's going to go into the toilet. But I do know that now that the season is over, what this team has gone through is unique. No other team has gone through this in college football. I mean, think all the way back to before the season. They had a teammate killed. That happened right before the season. In week 2, their starting quarterback gets hurt. And then they lose their first game where they had a 2-score lead and they blew it. Next week, they have a 2-score lead, they blow it, they find a way to win. And then the Kiffin stuff takes off. He's sending his family to Gainesville and Baton Rouge, and he's missing team meetings and things like that. And it's just they are constantly being berated with Kiffin here, Kiffin gone, Kiffin here, all that stuff, all the time. They have an 11-1 season. And he leaves anyway. And on his way out the door, he's telling people that he's taking the whole staff and he's taking players with him. And you better let me coach, because if you don't, all these guys are coming with me right now. And so they had to promote Pete Golding. Kind of called his bluff on that. 52 hours later or whatever, after he signs his deal and becomes Ole Miss's head coach, is signing day. And then they've got to balance the LSU coaches coaching here, going there, back and forth, and they win a home game and they dominate Tulane. And then they go to the Sugar Bowl, and you've got this staff flux and all the crap going on, and they go beat Georgia. They avenge an earlier loss in the season in an epic game, one of the best playoff games that we've seen. And then they have a quick turnaround 6 days later, and they have a ball in the air from the 30-yard line, and if it's caught, you go to the national championship game. What Pete Golding and that team have navigated this season, football adversity, tragedy adversity, former head coach trying to burn the program down as they're having a historic season adversity, to get to the point that they got to play as well as they did is pretty incredible. So the season on its own, 13 wins, getting to the semifinal, incredible. Ole Miss has not gotten to that point. So that's awesome in and of itself. But what they dealt with, what the players, quote-unquote, went through, what Pete Golding and that staff went through to navigate all that to get to that point, nobody's ever done that before. Nobody's had to deal with that before. And so there's a lot to talk about the game and personnel and, that they got physically beat up and this guy missed a tackle here or this happened. And all of it's true. They were that close to making the national championship game. But my goodness, if you are not proud as you could possibly be of that football team, you have no feelings at all. As an Ole Miss fan, of course, State fans, You don't have to be proud of that team. But as an Ole Miss fan, if you are not,
they're fine.
If you are not proud beyond measure of your football team and the people on it, you don't have feelings at all.
There's no taking away the season from Ole Miss, right? This was a season. Somebody talked about it on Twitter with you and I about, somebody said it was a rebuilding year. I wouldn't go that far. I had Ole Miss 9-3 in my preseason projections. I wouldn't say that's a rebuilding year. They were 9-3 the year before. I mean, it's the same record. And I said what was funny about that was my prediction was I was bought into Austin Simmons. So if you had told me, hey, Dad, you're way off on Austin Simmons, I'd be like, oh, well, maybe they're going to be like 5-7, 6-6, something like that. Instead, they found another star there in Trinidad Chambliss. All of the stories are great if you're, for the unbiased observer. but it doesn't end the way you want it to. But nobody can take anything away from this Ole Miss team. And like you said, all the other stuff that happened, we will look back at this Ole Miss team and say they went through some things that no other team. I would be willing to bet if 10 years, 20 years in the future, we will never have a situation like this with Kiffin where a coach bails on his team right before they start the playoffs.
While threatening everybody about what he's going to do to the team on his way out.
That's unique. That's even more unique. I'm just talking about, you had another guy. The first game Ole Miss played, Summerall stayed with his team.
Yeah.
And it was okay. And the way they handled it, I understand it's totally different going from Tulane to Florida than Ole Miss to LSU. I get it. But,
if Lane would have handled himself the way Summerall did, does Keith Carter let him coach?
Maybe.
Still, maybe not. But it would have been actually considered, realistically, yeah. But he couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
Could not handle it. So, just a really impressive football team. And the good thing for Ole Miss is, a lot of these guys are coming back. We'll talk about Trinidad here in a little bit. But, and as we learned, by the way, with Washington, DeMond Williams going back to Washington, he brought on a new agent, and they had legal people look at it. He could not get out of that contract.
He was locked in.
He was locked in.
And it was I think the situation was he was going to have to pay, or the next school would have to pay Washington the amount, plus that money would come out of their revenue share for the next year. So if they had a $20 million revenue share, it would only be 16, and that is a big number.
And that's a big win for college football.
It needed to happen that way. I would love to have been in the meeting where DeMond wasn't like, my bad, guys. Yeah. My bad. Hey, let's get some pizza. It's on me.
So if Ole Miss's contracts are similar to Washington's,
and that is a concern because that's a Big Ten thing, and I don't know that the SEC has the same protocols and procedures in place.
The league may not. I don't know. I would be surprised if the Grove Collective does not have protections in their contracts. That would run counter to everything that you ever heard about their organization.
It would.
But you expect Lacey back. You've got Deuce Alexander coming back. You've got Luke Haz and Caleb Odom coming back. You've got your interior three offensive linemen coming back. Your tackles being replaced by a guy that's already in-house. You've got your defensive line coming back. Uman Mielen, William Eccles coming back. Centarian Perkins coming back. You've got a lot of a core foundation of a really good team returning.
You don't think Perkins will go to the draft?
What position does he play?
That's a good question, but in today's NFL, you're seeing more and more of just get football players and put them out there and let them figure it out.
The expectation is for him to return. I think the money that he'll get paid is enough to where it's like...
You told me that the Saints could take Perkins in the third round. I would jump on that.
Especially when they're linebacker needy. And Pete Werner can't tackle on the edge at all.
Just figure it out,
But they have a really good nucleus returning, and so now it's that's the thing about when you get this close, right? When you taste success, what are you going to do about it, right? How do you respond to this? And luckily, Ole Miss is really aligned, and there's a lot of financial backing, and like you've said, hey, Dad, over the last few weeks, there's no greater motivator than spite. Spite motivates people.
It does,
and there's been a lot of new money. If Pete Golding fails, it's not because of lack of resources.
I agree with
that way.
For sure.
They are prepared to keep this going. It's just up to the head coach to make sure it does. But fun team, good run, really entertaining. 601-879-4395, the C Spire text line. We'll be right back.
Hearing Sports Talk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi.
Welcome back, Sports Talk Mississippi. Might do Floyd Fridays. I don't know. We'll see. I don't want people to get the wrong impression about what I do when we're not on the air. You know what I mean?
Marijuana. I'm still waiting on Van Halen Fridays.
Yeah,
or something.
Yeah.
Especially
since Richard's not on.
You control all the music, and I'm like, we had Richard days where we listened to Buffett all day.
But now he's not here, so.
Yeah, why can't I have a Van Halen day? A Pearl Jam day, something.
Somebody says Ole Miss held way worse all game and not called, not PI. So I told Haydad before the show, I think people aren't going to be happy with me when I say this. I thought the game was officiated. I am totally fine with how the game was officiated. I am. I'm totally fine with it. They let a lot go in that game. Maybe too much. But I don't think it was...
They let them play.
They let them play. There was a lot of holding. There was a late hit that wasn't called. Both offensive lines got away with some stuff. Somebody sent us a screenshot of Prince Will's. The guy's got his arm around Prince Will's neck as he's trying to get to Carson Beck. But there was...
That one was called, wasn't it?
No.
Okay.
No.
There was one that was like a close... That was the roughing.
That was
Yeah.
But there was...
there was a JBL style in there.
I just can't bring myself to blame officiating or talk about officiating when defensively you allowed them to stay on the field for over 40 minutes. I can't bring myself to be like, it was the refs when Miami just lined up and did that to you for 4 quarters. Pass interference at the end could have been called. It could have. But that's not why they lost, and Pete Golding said as much. And so I'm not going to spend time complaining about officials when I think, by and large, both teams got away with a lot.
Yeah, I agree. No games that look from the world's leading critic of officials. I know that no game's ever going to be perfect. This game was not egregiously refereed by any stretch of the imagination. So
no,
that final play, I could go find the film of every Hail Mary thrown in the last 2 decades, and they probabably all look like that.
I think if Trinidad throws it a little bit shorter and more inside, Wright had a one-on-one there man.
Might have had a chance.
Also, the face mask call, my goodness. What was it, Braxton? That got called for a face mask on what would have been a third down stop, and Miami would have had to kick a field goal to tie, and Ole Miss would have had a chance to go down and win. He didn't grab, but his hand was on the face mask and his head turned. If his hand was 3 inches lower, Ole Miss gets off the field there. Mm-hmm. It wasn't, but man, he certainly didn't grab it, but his hand was on it and his head turned, and that's your indicator right there. I did have a friend say, that gets called, and the Lacey one doesn't get called in the Sugar Bowl. Make that make sense, and that's a good point. But 2 different crews. And then the field, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, I told you last night, I was like, you should tweet, as I've said all week on Sports Talk Mississippi, the field is an issue. I don't know did it ever affect Ole Miss? I saw Miami twice.
A couple of the missed tackles,
in the backfield.
You could see them trying to break down, and they just slipped.
I told you, I was like, get some credit.
I don't know how people watch that and continue to think that is the playing surface that is right for a semifinal game. It was awful last night. That was a horrible field.
Bad.
It was really bad. It was really bad. Somebody says they got both targeting calls really wrong. I'll be honest with you. They didn't. Now, hold on. The targeting rule is bad. The rule is bad. As written, the Ole Miss player that was able to stay in the game, his head was up and he did not launch, right? So he was running to the ball and they collided. So his head was not down and he didn't launch into the receiver. So when you don't have those indicators, it's not targeting. The Miami player, it's a bad rule. It's a really bad rule. That's why you need targeting 1, targeting 2. The fact that he got ejected for that is a joke. He's playing football. It happens so fast. And how can you tackle somebody that's low to the ground without having the launch indicator, right, where your body is parallel to the ground? But that's why he got kicked out of the game. His head was down, and they had the launch indicator. It's a bad rule. You should not get ejected from a game for doing what he did. He was just playing football. But as the rule is written, it's those indicators that they referenced on the broadcast. The rule just sucks. It does. It's a bad rule, man. That guy should not have been ejected from that game last night for that hit. He wasn't trying to hurt anybody. It wasn't malicious. It was just a guy playing football. And he had to sit out the rest of a semifinal game for that? That was a joke.
And we'll sit out, what, first half? That was in the second half, wasn't it?
Yeah, I guess he will.
He's out first half.
You better be able to appeal that. And then,
yeah, it feels like that's an appealable one, but we'll see. We'll see. I just didn't, like I said, there was never a call in that game where I got to thinking, here we go. Yeah. You know, on either side.
After the news, so that's the game.
All right, we'll do that. When we come back,
yeah,
we got to talk about Trinidad, the NCAA, and what is Ole Miss going to do at the quarterback position for 2026. Back in just a minute. Sports Talk, Mississippi.
Is Sports Talk Mississippi.
Boom! Are you ready for some football?
On Super Talk Mississippi.
Sports Talk Mississippi, back here with you on a Friday afternoon. What's up on Sports Talk Mississippi? Well, we're going to talk now about Trinidad Chambliss. The ruling has come down from the NCAA. What's the next steps for him? What's the next steps for Ole Miss? How's it all going to end up? Are you okay, Michael Borky?
I'm doing great today.
No, you're just moving around in the studio there like you saw a rat.
The system froze, and then it logged me out.
Oh.
Like back to back. It's like, uh-oh. We're in trouble.
I didn't want to have to be the one to tell you this on the air, but you've been replaced.
Well.
Please welcome our new co-host, Ben Mintz. No, absolutely not. Because, buddy, I'd follow you out the door. Just right out the door. What's up on Sports Talk Mississippi is brought to you by Ag Up. Right now at Ag Up, they've got some great deals. Start the new year with a compact tractor that's a proven performer. And get a great deal. You can get it all at Ag Up Equipment. Right now, get 0% financing for 48 months on select John Deere 1 through 4 series compact tractors. You can't beat these workhorses or the 0% financing. Stop by your local Ag Up or visit them at agup.com. Your down-home dealer. Offerings 131.26. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
All right, here is what we know, and then... Oh, news broke. Winston Watkins entering the portal. That is the most unsurprising.
That's the one you've been saying for weeks is like he's going in the portal when this
and he's going to go to LSU.
He's going to LSU, which is weird, by the way. LSU's picked up like 7 receivers. Because
they didn't have a plan. They didn't have a Lane Kiffin's plan was for Ole Miss to lose to Georgia, and he thought he was taking all the players with him, and that didn't happen, and they're in scramble mode. But apparently there's also talk that Watkins would go back to his home state, too, in Florida.
Okay.
So I don't know. But, I mean, everybody in that building has been prepared for Winston Watkins to leave the whole time.
Okay.
So that is the least surprising news of all time. Okay, what we know right now is that the NCAA has denied Trinidad Chambliss's waiver. They made that announcement 12 hours after he had his, heart ripped out of his chest in the playoff semifinal, and they're in the air on the way home when this news breaks. But the NCAA has denied his waiver. We know that. We also know that there is an opportunity for appeal through the NCAA to a higher committee that is meeting this week. So Ole Miss is going to make that step. Keith Carter released a statement. Ole Miss is going to appeal to that committee. Mm-hmm. We also know that Trinidad Chambliss is being represented by Tom Mars, the attorney that was involved in the Ole Miss NCAA case as the world turns. Mm-hmm. Tom Mars claims that the NCAA told them that they provided sufficient evidence, and he has got that recorded. The NCAA today said they don't have sufficient evidence in their statement. Mm-hmm. Tom Mars also said that he has a lawsuit ready to file in Mississippi should the Chambliss family want to. I assume that answer will be yes. He's got to land, right?
I got a kick out of Mars talking about, like, finding, unbiased, blah, 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 in Mississippi.
I know, right? The whole point of filing here, buddy.
If that lawsuit's not held in Oktibbeha County, I don't believe you, okay?
But yeah, so he is preparing a lawsuit. He needs to be told, okay, do it, and they will file it. So that's what we know. Here's what I think that I know. I reached out to a couple of lawyers that I know today, just like, hey, kind of tell me the legalese around this, right? And both of their responses were pretty consistent. It was basically, it's complicated because it's a law thing and they're all complicated. But a case against the NCAA in Mississippi would, as you can imagine, probably favor the Ole Miss quarterback that just took the college football world by storm. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's probably the likely outcome. But also, timing is an issue. If this were 4 months ago, one of them said to me, if this were 4 months ago, slam dunk, you can guarantee that he will be playing for Ole Miss next year. Mm-hmm. The problem that they might run into, now they both said, look, because of the circumstances and the right people in the right places, they could probably get this done really, really fast and get it through quickly. But the legal system generally moves kind of slow, and draft declaration is not too far away.
Right.
And if you're not going to play in college next year, you need to start working on draft prep. You need to pick your Senior Bowl or Shrine Bowl, and you need to start doing all of those things. So that could create an issue here. Both of them said it's, look, because of the high profile of the case, it probably get done next week early if they wanted to. But they did say timing might be an issue because of draft declaration. For whatever that's worth, just a couple of lawyers talking to me. Right. But they both said you can get it done in this state, and the NCAA would. They both were like, I can't say 100% because we're trained not to, but the likely outcome would be in favor of Trinidad Chambliss if they file a suit in Mississippi to get the NCAA out of his hair for another year, that would be the likely outcome. But timing now is a bit of an issue.
So, looking at it today, I will say this. The NCAA statement is, for the NCAA anyway, because I've seen them put out some statements, and I'm just like, who wrote this? What fifth grader wrote this? I thought it was very detailed. I thought they laid out their case. They believe
in themselves.
I think they believe they've got a really strong case. I think the fact that Ferris State, for whatever reason, is siding with the NCAA hurts Chambliss's case. I think that the fact that they show look, we have X number of these appeals, and we've granted Y number of them, and every one that we haven't, we have had the same standard that we've held them to. I think it felt. Look, again, I'm the furthest thing from a lawyer. I mean, at least Borky went to a school that had a law school. I did not. I am not a lawyer. But just reading it, I was like, this feels pretty solid. And that's something that you've said on Twitter. It's about earning potential, right? Yeah. Like, you could go to the pros, but he would make less. But that's not a reason for eligibility.
No, that's not the case. They would argue.
That's the damages. That's where could he get paid some damages if they?
Yes.
Is there a world where that doesn't make sense in my head? But is there a world where he loses his eligibility case and Ole Miss has to pay him? Because who are the damages coming from?
So as I understand it, the contract that Ole Miss and him have come to an agreement on is contingent on his ability to play next year. Mm-hmm. So it's not like you're getting this money regardless. It's if you can play in college football, then you get this money.
Right.
But yeah, that's the next layer to this, right? A lot of people have said that he has a day 3 draft grade. Well, if that's true, then yes, you fight tooth and nail to come back because his offer, his contract with Ole Miss for next year, hope you guys are sitting down for this, is just over $5 million.
Right.
Which, by the way, did you watch him play in the Sugar Bowl last night? Worth it. Mm-hmm. He's worth it. I'm sorry. I know people don't like that. Oh, my gosh, college athletes getting paid. How terrible. 25 million people watched the game last night. 20 million people watched the Sugar Bowl. Ole Miss is going to sell out season tickets again. There's Trinidad flags everywhere. They're getting a return on that investment 100 times over. Let's be honest, man.
Well, it goes back to something we've said for years about like Saban, right? Like Saban was making $12, $13 million a year at the peak, but he was still underpaid.
Criminally underpaid.
Could have been paid, you could have paid him $40 million a year, and you were probably getting closer at that point. So, yeah.
So $5 million, and for perspective on that, Trinidad's contract for next year is double what the second-round pick starting quarterback for the New Orleans Saints will make next year.
Yeah.
So, but the difference is Tyler Shuck's contract is $10 million fully guaranteed. So if he were to get some feedback from the NFL, because he has moved up some draft boards, he's played great, and they say, man, honestly, I think you're a second-round guy, then you got to consider, I mean, second-round picks are now getting fully guaranteed deals.
Yeah.
And that position, if you can get the Shuck contract, $10 million greater than $5 million, even if it's spread over 4 years because it's fully guaranteed.
Well,
but if you're getting a sixth-round grade, yes, you fight to stay in college.
I guess somebody else confused me of trolling, but this is twice now where Ole Miss has been like waiting to the last minute to figure something out. And I don't know if it's who's timing, but the same thing with Kiffin, right? They waited and waited and waited. They could have had Sumrall. They could have had him if they had just cut ties. And
they couldn't cut ties with Kiffin, though.
They could have absolutely done it. They could have been like, we demand an answer by today, and if you don't give it, we got to move on.
Here's why they couldn't, because Kiffin lied to Ole Miss.
I understand that, but
he told
somebody's got to be smarter.
I know
that
but he told them that, hey, draw up a contract. I'll sign it when. Like he told them that.
Yeah, I would have been like, I'll draw it up right now, and you can sign it right now. Here it is. Sign it right now.
Yeah.
No, all right, we're moving on. And then this is the same thing. Like if it goes bad, I mean, are you confident going into the season with Deuce Knight
or Lagway?
If it's Lagway, let's talk about that when we come back. Pete Thamel had a very interesting tweet about that. That might get some insight on how Ole Miss feels now that they've gotten this last rejection from the NCAA. We'll talk about it when we come back. This is Sports Talk Mississippi. Brian Haydad and Michael Borky, about halfway through on a Friday. Back after this.
From the Sports Talk Mississippi, your new home for exclusive sports coverage here in the Magnolia State.
Let me put it to you this way.
Right here on Super Talk Mississippi.
I feel like Tim Robinson on the stop, I'm trying to do something. I'm just trying. I was desperately trying to get your attention there.
I was not looking either.
I know.
Until
You're
the very
just
last
looking
second.
down. I'm like, Borky. Sports Talk Mississippi. Here with you on a what day is it? Friday. Thanks for joining us here in the Pearl River Resort Studios, pearlriverresort.com. Sports Talk Mississippi is brought to you in part by AgriGold. AgriGold believes progress in the field starts with seed and the people who plant it. That's why AgriGold focuses 100% on seed, delivering trusted genetics and solutions to help you get more out of every acre. Contact Carrie Baker at 662-836-7417, your local AgriGold representative, to learn more. Or visit agrigold.com to explore seed solutions and agronomy resources. Plant your legacy today with AgriGold. So, here's how this went. Within about 5 minutes of everybody tweeting Trinidad Chambliss's waiver has been denied, Pete Nakos of On3 Sports, not Pete Nokos, don't follow him, tweets, he's put in a crystal ball for Ole Miss to land Auburn quarterback, former George County superstar, Deuce Knight. That's kind of been one of the most poorly kept secrets around college football the past few weeks, that Knight was probably going to end up in Oxford.
That was probably happening regardless, though. A lot of people are like, 1 plus 1.
There's been some talk that he was going to Dante Moore it, basically. Come in, play behind Chambliss, and then take over in a year.
This next one, though.
Pete Thamel, about an hour ago, let's see exactly what time, because we were on the air. So right near the end of our first segment, Sources, former Florida quarterback DJ Lagway is planning to continue to take visits before officially committing. He had a positive visit to Baylor earlier this week. One program that has consistently expressed interest is Ole Miss. Now, what I find funny about this is we made the jokes a lot during the season, like Lagway's going to be really good in Oxford next year, when we thought Kiffin would be remaining in Oxford, and we were like, that's just a match made in heaven with those two guys.
And there was always rumors of mutual interest and all that stuff.
Which makes me wonder why LSU's not pursuing him more heavily. Because LSU is in dire need of a quarterback right now.
I mean, they got an Elon kid coming in. Not Musk, but the Elon Phoenix in small-town North Carolina.
So, Lagway, that tweet makes me have the thought that at best it's a contingency plan, right? It's like,
absolutely.
This does go bad. We got to have somebody. We can't just rely on Deuce Knight. So I think Deuce Knight is very talented, but I don't know that he's ready to take the reins, which is crazy considering that State's going to go with Kamario Taylor. But I think you and I would agree Taylor's probably a little more polished than Deuce Knight is at this point.
Well, he's started 2 games.
Well, I mean,
that helps.
That's just based on what I've seen.
And also, Knight had to learn under Hugh Freeze, which probably set him back in his development at this point.
But there's also the idea that maybe that's a telltale sign for Ole Miss. They're like, look, we'll go through all this and we'll go through the process, but at the end of the day, maybe they agree with what I'm saying a little bit, which is the NCAA looks like it has a pretty solid case.
Because now, and Trinidad has a decision to make now as well. So that's part of it too.
There is that too.
I assume, based on my conversations earlier, that this time next week you'll know what Ole Miss is doing or what the process with Trinidad is, whether they file a suit, what happens, all that stuff. I mean, we'll know by Friday of next week. We'll know. Deuce Knight's supposed to be visiting this weekend for whatever that's worth. I mean, Lagway and Knight are really talented guys. Lagway's played a lot of mostly not good, but with flashes of that talent. Mm-hmm. Why hasn't he put it together yet? Was it bad coaching?
You can make a strong case.
Yeah, you certainly could.
Napier.
And, I mean, if you go into next year with your quarterback room being Lagway and Knight battling out for the starting job,
pretty good.
There are worse situations you could be in. Now, it is a step backwards from having Trinidad back.
It is. Let me ask you this.
Trinidad would be, he and Arch Manning would be 1-2 in the preseason Heisman odds going into next year.
Kind of funny to think about, though. Going into this season, what's a better QB room just based on preseason knowledge, right? Lagway and Knight, Simmons and Chambliss. Again, based entirely only on what we knew going into the 2020.
Lagway and Knight.
Yeah, Lagway and Knight's the better room.
Would have been the better room.
It's crazy to think about, but it is. Yeah. And Simmons, by the way, I don't know if we've talked about it, officially committed today to Missouri, so he'll be off to Columbia. He's out. So, right now...
Yeah. Ole Miss was not going to pay him what Missouri is paying.
No,
that would have never happened.
That's fine.
Also, he was, again, last night, I mean, after the game... was waiting at the tunnel and gave big bear hugs to literally every Ole Miss player and personnel member that walked by him. I mean, he did
everything he could do, yeah.
But, yeah, that's what makes this so fascinating, is how quickly this can get done. And we'll know more through the weekend, even, and by Monday what their plan is. Because Mars' statement was interesting. It was, I'm ready, just got to get the okay from the family. I'm surprised he didn't have the okay from the family already.
I think...
if it gets denied, boom, you go.
I think that's simply... They're going to... Now that they can take a breath,
they're
going to really dig into the NFL look and see what they can find out. Because they probably want to have some conversations with some GMs.
Stuff like that.
And just... Because all it takes is one guy who says, if you're... I don't know about a first-round pick, but if you're there in the second or third round... we will take you.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are surprised that I've seen a lot of NFL people talk about his draft grade. All it takes is one team.
6-1 team.
But a lot of people still think that he is like a late round guy. But there are some, too, that said he's climbed up to the QB4 or even QB3 slot. And that complicates this conversation. Some people are I've learned on Twitter that, by the way, just never go on Twitter ever again. The discourse on that website has just plummeted in ways that you can't say anything anymore on Twitter. You can't. The Tyler Shuck deal is a good barometer for what you're looking at if a quarterback gets a second-round grade. Mm-hmm. Because if he gets that, even though it's over 4 years, $10 million fully guaranteed is greater than $5 million fully guaranteed. But also, if you really believe in yourself and you get your $5 million and then you're still a second-round guy next year, or you can play your way into a first round, yes, ultimately it's more money. But there's just a lot to consider is the point. It's a fascinating deal. It is very much like the NCAA, though, to pull the trigger on this. Again, 12 hours after he lost a heartbreaking game, and he and his team are on the airplane on the way home, is when they finally announce their decision on his waiver.
That's my question then. So, I get what you're saying, but at the same time, if that was the earliest they could get the decision done, don't you want it done? I mean,
of course,
it's unfortunate. But at the same time, you got to get this knowledge out there. You really couldn't afford to wait another day.
No, but the fact that they waited this long is just very typical of the NCAA. That's just what they are.
Yeah.
So the next question is, would you have rather let him know before the game? Yes. So you can start the process to try to beat the NCAA as fast as humanly possible. Not like right before kickoff, but Monday of this week would have been great. Tom Mars could have filed whatever he needed to file on Monday afternoon instead of.
Well, I don't know if I agree with you because it's another distraction.
At least there's finality. What's more of a distraction?
But is there finality?
The unknown,
there's no finality. They're still appealing.
So what's the difference?
Yeah, and
his coach left. What's the difference?
Yeah.
I mean,
Marty asked this. Marty from Portland, like. Let's say the Ole Miss gets the appeal, right, and they win. Can't the NCAA appeal? Like, how long can this go on? What if the NCAA really wants to keep it going?
So if you file it in Supreme Court, that's what happened with the Pavia. It just dragged out.
Yeah.
And again, if you're going to file this in Mississippi, if you get the injunction or whatever that you want, don't you think that the Mississippi courts are going to keep helping you out? I mean, I know it's not supposed to be that way, but there's a reason you file it in this state, right?
Yeah.
Somebody says Dart was not highly rated last fall either. Projected 4th, 5th round last November. Nope.
We were talking about the Saints taking him on this show.
Late
in October, I want to say.
Yeah, no, he was always a possible first-round pick.
That is the one thing, though. Like, I feel like it's almost impossible for Chambliss' stock to be any higher. Especially, say what you want about Baker. With Kiffin and Weiss gone, I mean, even with Lacey back, it seems likely Ole Miss they may take just a small step back offensively. And if that's the case, you cost yourself some money, I think.
Or he plays great.
He could.
Watching him play, I would bet on him to do well than not. Interesting stuff. We'll be right back.
From the Seabrook.
It's a place for crazy people.
If it's sports in Mississippi, you'll hear about it here. Sports Talk Mississippi on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Welcome back, Sports Talk Mississippi. Borky and Haydad with you. Somebody says, why is the NCAA okay with Beck being in school for 7 years but not extend Chambliss another year? Don't even bother trying to figure out why they do the things that they do. Just you're going to have a legal situation play out, and the can get kicked down the road, and that is the path anyway.
We've seen whose line is it anyway?
Everything's made up, and the points don't matter.
Don't matter.
So just trust in Tom Mars to get your quarterback another year of eligibility just through the Mississippi courts instead of through the NCAA.
Tom Mars, you either die a hero or live long enough to become the villain, right? Or one way, maybe it's the other way around now in this one.
And what a great story Trinidad is, and he was really good again late last night. I look good, I feel good because I'm wearing Genteel. GenteelApparel.com is the website. They actually have Trinidad flag gear at Genteel now, if you want it, and to support him through his fight in the Mississippi courts. On their website, but also if you're a State fan, they got great looking Mississippi State gear. They got a whole collegiate collection that's got all kinds of teams, and you can look good, you can feel good, and also you're shopping with a Mississippi company. There are men's specialty clothing stores all over the state of Mississippi, and I've been wearing Genteel hats lately, and they're just, it's a perfect. It's like the sport hat. It's a golf hat. Oh, it's awesome. I got two of them, actually, from Genteel, a blue one and a white one. Oh, they're great. GenteelApparel.com. That is the website. We'll put a pause on football just for a second because at least one of the two teams in the state are playing meaningful basketball in the month of January.
Maybe.
And that is Mississippi State. Ole Miss is hosting Missouri tomorrow. Ole Miss is 8-7. They're 0-2 in the SEC. Fan interest couldn't possibly not be any lower in basketball than it is right now. If they win, we'll talk about it on Monday. Otherwise, Mississippi State, however, hey, that has played themselves back into the category.
Yeah. They, they have. I don't quite know how they've done it either, to be honest with you. And maybe it's just as simple as Chris Jans is a good coach, and it took him a little longer than he thought to get his team figured out and everything, but he figured it out. And they've won these two SEC games quite differently, right? They scored 100-plus points on Texas, even though it goes into overtime, but that was definitely an offensive game. The game against Oklahoma, they hold them to just over 30% shooting. They only give up 53 points, and they win with defense. And so I don't really know. I don't know what this team's identity is just yet, but I do know they've figured out the rotations a little bit. Now, Sergey, let's see if I can get it right. Mascara. I don't know. Guys, I'm trying. Sergey, I know Sergey is correct. I know that part is correct. But the Makara, I think it's Makara. He missed the game on Wednesday. Not sure what his status is for this weekend yet. I haven't seen an update on that. They're going to Kentucky. State hasn't won in Kentucky since 2009. Been a long time since State was able to walk out of Rupp Arena with a win. This is a Kentucky team that was preseason, top 5, I think. Famously, was the article
an
written.
Extremely expensive roster.
$22 million was the number that was thrown about. Now I want you to think about $22 million for basketball. All right, we're talking about some football teams spending $22 million.
There will be SEC football teams that won't spend more than that.
And that's for basketball. And yet they are 9-6. They're 0-2 in the conference. They just have not played very well at all, and they've been just so inconsistent. And if you watch them play, it's almost like they find ways to lose. We think about Kentucky over the years; they've always had those games. A close game you didn't want to be playing Kentucky. They would always find a way to win. Not this team. So, State has a real opportunity here to be 3-0. Now, your next game is against Alabama, who Jans just cannot beat Alabama. Nate Oates owns Chris Jans. There's no getting around that. But then next Saturday, you host Ole Miss, and Ole Miss, as Borky has told you, has canceled the basketball season.
No more basketball. Although, we're reminded on the text line, the women won last night. Forgive
big win
me.
For them.
They were playing in the football semifinal. Yes, they beat Oklahoma last night. It's a big win for them. The women's basketball season, not canceled. They're still playing.
So, that said, State has a chance to start SEC play 4-1. And you look around the conference, South Carolina's not great. Missouri is okay. Georgia is okay. They had a really weak non-conference, but those are winnable games. LSU, they're 0-2. So there's a path. This is a path that is fraught with peril. But getting back into just to the bubble discussion is at least on the table right now for Mississippi State. A win on Saturday, and you can start having those conversations for real.
What do you have the net pulled up right now? I'll let you keep talking.
They were 83rd after the win on Wednesday.
And do you know what Kentucky was here? I'll pull it up.
They were like 36th. All of Kentucky's losses are to good or to power teams. They don't have a loss that's just crazy bad.
And that game, if you're able to pull it off tomorrow,
it's quad one, and it'll be quad one probably the whole season.
Yeah.
So Kentucky currently 34 in the net, and Mississippi State currently they dropped down to 85. And State's problem is they don't have any quality wins. They're 8-1, quad 3, quad 4. We're back to quads, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't know if we were going to talk about them this year or not. That one loss is the San Francisco loss. Mm-hmm. I think if it got to a point where State was on the bubble, the committee would give some grace for that one, because that's the game where Hubbard goes out 2 minutes into the game with an injury and doesn't play. State probably wins that game relatively easily, but the shock of losing Hubbard, I think, affected them in that game, and they just played really, really poorly. But State's other problem is they have one quad 1 win and one quad 2 win. Those are the two SEC wins. The win at Texas is quad 1. The win at home against Oklahoma is quad 2. Other than that, everything is the other 9 wins they have are down in the quad 3, quad 4 range. So State needs to pile up some good wins. A win here would be great. I have trouble. This is kind of the whole thing with, like, we've been talking about Indiana, and you're like, can you make your brain believe that Indiana is good at football? Making my brain believe that Mississippi State can go into Kentucky and make them 0-3 in the conference, I have trouble wrapping my brain around that one. But I think if you're 3-2 in the first 5, you're on an okay trajectory. I still don't think this team will be an NCAA tournament team, but a month ago I was thinking this team might only win 3 or 4 games total in the SEC.
Yeah.
So they've gotten past that. Jans has done a good job. He's figured some things out. They're running the offense through the backcourt with Hubbard, Epps, who didn't play well on Wednesday, but Jabari McGee kind of picked him up. The McGee stuff that was, on the internet seems to have sorted itself out. You're getting more production out of your front court. Achor, I think, is 3 straight games with double-digit rebounds. Jamarian Davis-Fleming had double-digit rebounds against Oklahoma. Quincy Ballard was in double figures. He only had 4 rebounds. We only played 16 minutes. I mean, if I can get 10 and 4 in 16 minutes, I'll take that. I mean, that's a pretty good. Those are decent numbers. I mean, so combined from your 3 guys who are playing in the front court there, you got a combined, I think, 24 points and 30 rebounds. You'll take it. So Sean Jones seems to have settled into a more realistic role for him. He's not taking 8-10 shots a game. He's playing more defense, trying to be more of a facilitator. They got a long way to go, but they're a lot better off than they were a month ago at this time.
Imagine being a Kentucky fan right now. Mm-hmm. Your football program. Now, you hire a new coach, and they're spending money in football, and so maybe there's some positivity there. But you have had nothing at all in football to be excited about. Calipari goes to Arkansas, and he elevates Arkansas. Mm-hmm. He was the one holding Kentucky basketball down, right? He was the guy. He was such a bum, and he elevates Arkansas. And then you bring in Pope, and you spend all this money, and the team is not good. That's got to be brutal, because this was the one thing that you had. It's Kentucky.
Yeah.
It's the one thing that you knew you had. Just get me to basketball.
It goes back to, would Mark Pope have been the head coach at Kentucky if he didn't go to Kentucky?
Nope.
No. You're Kentucky, and you couldn't get an elite head coach lined up to coach at your school. What chance do a lot of other places have? But how is it that Mississippi State and Ole Miss both have a better basketball coach in place than Kentucky does, I think? And
this would be like if Mississippi State baseball had a bad non-conference slate this year and then got swept in their first 2 SEC series. That's what it would be like.
Well, imagine that. That's happened. I don't have to imagine it.
No, I mean with Brian O'Connor.
Oh, with this roster.
And with this team, yeah.
I got you.
That's what it would be like. You bring in this new coach, you spend a lot of money, all this hype and attention, and it's the sport that Mississippi State not only loves, but they're good at, right? It's the sport that you are supposed to be at the top of, and you are. And then you suck?
Yeah.
Oof.
I just got a phone call from somebody. So I Googled the phone number. It's somebody from the Palmer home. Guys, you know where I am.
Maybe that guy actually did donate.
I doubt it.
Yeah. I'm glad he's no longer on our text line. I'm glad we did that.
We wasted a lot of time with that guy. So for Mississippi State, interesting game. We'll see what happens. If they win, they're 3-0, and man, you're going to really people are going to start buying into the idea that this team could turn it all the way around and find their way back into postseason play for the fourth straight year. If they lose, we will just keep all those thoughts on hold.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Good stuff there. There's your basketball update. Sports Talk Mississippi from the Pearl River Resort Studio. Stick around.
Walk around in circles, walk around in circles, walk around in circles, walk around there. Don't need to walk around in circles, walk around in circles, walk around in circles, walk around there.
Friendly available
Talk. Sports Talk Mississippi. To the junction, in the grove, and to the top. Sports Talk Mississippi on SuperTalk Mississippi.
We got this on the text line earlier today. The PGA Tour announced their fall schedule, and it does not include the stop in Mississippi. They're going to Asheville, North Carolina, Mexico, Utah, Mexico again for some reason, Japan, Austin, Texas, Bermuda, and St. Simon's Island, Georgia. It's not surprising that they have been working hard to try to find a corporate sponsor to take the place of Sanderson Farms, and they clearly could not do enough to satisfy the PGA Tour. It's an absolute shame. I'm heartbroken over this, to be honest with you. It's been my favorite week of the year here, living in the Jackson area since I moved here 12 years ago, almost 12 years ago. And it's the week I've most looked forward to. And this past year in particular, the crowds were awesome. The biggest they've been. The field was actually really good. It felt like there was a lot of, from the grassroots perspective, a lot of really positive momentum. But corporate dollars win and lose out in the end, I suppose. And the PGA Tour, as of right now, will no longer make a stop in Mississippi. I have not seen Steve Gent or anybody comment on this or what the future is. Maybe they're working on a Corn Ferry event or an LPGA Tour event or whatever, but the state of Mississippi is a golf state. We produce golfers. We have good golf programs at the collegiate level. We have really quality high school golfers. It is a big golf state, and I think that we, as a state, supported the PGA Tour here, and to see it go and to leave this area, a metro area that we don't get. It's a major American sports league. Had an annual stop right here in our capital city, and it's gone. And I'm truly beaten up about it. It's bad for the area. It's bad for the state. I hate it, and that's all I can say. Really, I'm crushed. I'm heartbroken because there's a lot of good people that put on a world class event, and I assume a lot of people don't know what's next for them, and that's a shame as well.
Yeah. Like I said, you would be a lot more familiar with the ins and outs of things like that, but it felt like an event that was well run. I mean, that doesn't even feel like it was an event that was well run. It felt like you said, the crowds were very good. It's interesting that the PGA would want to get away from that. I mean, even if you just did it for 1 year, say, like, look, we're going to keep you here for a year, but you do need to start. You got to get a sponsor between now and 2027.
Yeah,
it's just odd that they wouldn't continue it, but.
And the tour's got a new commissioner. They're going to start changing some things. Maybe it was impossible. Maybe they couldn't save it. I don't know. Maybe the state tried to step in and save it, and it just didn't work. I would love for somebody to comment, frankly, about the efforts that were made, because I hope it. I know that Gent and the people at the tournament tried, and Century Club Charities, those people tried hard, but. I would love to know if there were any outside efforts to save it. And maybe they couldn't. Maybe the state couldn't. I don't know. But I hope that them not being on the fall schedule, thus 1 + 1 = 2, the tournament no longer existing, is not because of a lack of trying from everybody that could have helped.
Right.
I hope that's not the case. We'll see moving forward. But anyway, 601-879-4395, the C Spire text line. 601-879-4395. Jeff is asking, what if the judge in Mississippi that they file the injunction with for Trinidad's a state alum?
I used to know one state judge here in the state, but he is retired now. Just going off the top of my head, I got to imagine almost like the majority of judges in this state are Ole Miss people. I mean, that's not even, that's just 1-1, me and 2 there.
They'll, and I have a feeling they'll be choosy.
They will definitely file this. Yeah. They will file this in a court where they know that, they're going to be looking through all right, this guy's in the Grove Collective? Yes, sir. There's our guy.
So we'll see. It's as simple as that. I hate to be we'll see guy. I would like to be more informative than that, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Most people think that you can fight the NCAA within a state and win to get him on the field for next year. I haven't really seen anybody suggest that that's not possible. So we'll just have to wait and see. Meanwhile, Deuce Knight will be visiting Ole Miss this weekend. I think that's happening regardless. Mm-hmm. But what do they do if, for whatever reason, Trinidad's not back next year? I don't know that answer. It's a very fascinating thing to watch unfold over the next few days. Speaking of things unfolding over the next few days, the transfer portal, always open, always active. Ole Miss just landed, I think, 45 minutes ago. So they're going to have a busy weekend in town with visitors and stuff like that. Mississippi State, there's news on the portal front as well, an addition and then a subtraction to the portal class possibly. We'll talk about it all for the College Football Fix after the news.
Sports Talk Mississippi, your new home for exclusive sports coverage here in the Magnolia State.
Let me put it to you this way.
Right here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Hour 3 of Sports Talk Mississippi. Borky and Hayden with you. We started the show, first hour, reacting to the Fiesta Bowl. Ole Miss falling just short in the semifinal to Miami. Then we talked about Trinidad's waiver being denied by the NCAA, although Ole Miss released a statement from Keith Carter saying that they're going to appeal to a higher committee with the NCAA, and Tom Mars talking about legal action. So we'll see what happens there. Talked about Mississippi State basketball. Got a important game tomorrow in Lexington. And now for the College Football Fix, it's your daily portal update.
The College Football Fix is driven by your Mississippi Ford dealers. Built Ford tough. Are you driving a truck that's not the best-selling truck in America, the Ford F-150? Then you need to enter the transfer portal. Transfer yourself over to your nearest Mississippi Ford dealer today. Take a test drive. Find out what it's all about. Find out why it's the best-selling truck in America. Thank you. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Let's start with Mississippi State. They got a commitment, so we will two now.
Two.
And also something weird's happening with one of their commitments. So, hey, fire away.
Let's start with the two. Today, picking up a defensive end / tight end. He played two positions for Florida State last year. Amari Williams is the name. State having some success with the Florida State guys, maybe. We'll see in a minute. Defensive end, that's where I think he's going to be here at Mississippi State. Thin kid, though. 6'4", 205 pounds is what he's listed at on the On3 website. Got to put some weight on him if you want to play that defensive end edge position here at Mississippi State. Can't be that small. This guy is big, though. L.J. Prudhomme, an offensive lineman, Arkansas. Mississippi State recruited him pretty heavily out of high school, Captain Shreve High School down there in Shreveport. But he is now at Mississippi State. Again, this is a guy who I see as a 2027 guy. I don't know how much he helps you next year. Now, he may be put into a position where he has to, but I don't know. So 2 commitments for Mississippi State. Now, Kemper County High School, Florida State, Mario Nash committed to Mississippi State earlier this week. Our friend Matt Moscona down in Baton Rouge reporting that Mario Nash, is also in Baton Rouge visiting LSU. Now,
so that means that he will commit to Texas here soon. If the LSU people right now in the portal are not,
you might just keep him here. You might just keep him here at Mississippi State at that point. Obviously, not signed with Mississippi State. If he had signed with Mississippi State, he could not be visiting other schools. So we'll have to see what the situation is here. I'm going to make a guess, though, because Nash did something similar to this in high school. He was committed to Mississippi State, continued to visit and talk to other coaches, ended up at Florida State. Kind of a fool me once, fool me twice, won't get fooled again kind of situation. So I'll be surprised if Mario Nash ends up being part of this class for Mississippi State at this point. I think they might just be well served to move on from him.
That goes to show you, by the way, what we've been talking about. If you need an offensive lineman, if you need multiple offensive linemen in the portal,
yeah.
Because, you look at LSU, they need 4 They need 4 starters on the offensive line. I guess they got 1 to come back, but the rest of them are gone, right? One's going to Tennessee, one's going to Alabama, one's going to A&M, one's going to Ole Miss.
Well, the Alabama one seems to have been not happening now.
Oh, well.
But he's gone, but he's not going to Alabama.
And they are signing JUCO linemen and trying to take a guy that, with all due respect, Mississippi State fans weren't even excited about. That's the state of a desperate team.
Yeah, State's doing this thing again, where they're getting depth, but they're not getting starters.
It looks like there's not many. There's not starters to be had in the portal.
Oh, I disagree. There are
at offensive line.
No, there are guys to get. Other teams are getting them, but not Mississippi State.
But look at the quality, though, of the guys we're talking about here that are going to these other places. There's a lot of linemen that are not impressive that are going to get top dollar. And
Mississippi State had the worst offensive line in the SEC last year. It would be very difficult to not improve, but.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing on the defensive side of the ball. The cornerbacks look great, right? I like the wide receiver that they brought in from Missouri. A.J. Swan is a perfectly capable number 2 quarterback. But on the defensive line and at the edge position where the pass rusher, where they desperately need help, they have not had any success yet.
At a position like offensive line, where it's at such a premium, it's hard. It sucks, but the best path is through high school.
It is, but
that's the best path.
State has missed on that. They recruited Jimothy Lewis and Luke Work out of high school and couldn't get them developed and couldn't get them to contribute.
A lot of text and conversation about the current offensive line coach Lodehold at Mississippi State. Where do you kind of fall?
He's not doing a great job. You look at State's offensive line last year. They got worse throughout the season. In the high school recruiting, he didn't do particularly well. And now we're into the portal. We're a week into this, and he hasn't been able to pull anybody in that you feel is going to help you next year. They're just looking at it just from a purely from a numbers standpoint. There's no way you can look at him and say he's doing a great job for Mississippi State. So yeah, I get Corey Bell was in that boat, but then he went and got a new starter and 2 outstanding reserves, and so he's out. He's done his job. His room is ready to go for SEC play. The offensive line room is a long, long way away. If I told you to right now to look at State's roster and predict their starting offensive line, there'd be no way you could be confident that Kamario Taylor would survive this season. There's just no chance that they would be worse than they were a season ago. That's saying something considering they were the worst offensive line in the SEC.
Somebody says Borky's correct. No proven O-line talent in the portal. How is Lebby watching and not intervening? Is he not allowed to recruit on the line? No, he is. But
he's the head coach. He can do whatever he wants.
You have a combination here of not an abundance of options, and also, look, if we're being honest, when you're talking about going to Alabama or Tennessee or Mississippi State right now, when you're fighting those schools for the very small amount of players that can come in and start and be good on an offensive line, you're not at the top of their desires unless you overpay. And maybe they just need to start paying and throwing a lot of money at players that you don't want to spend a lot of money on, but you got to do what you got to do.
It's kind of surprising that State didn't have some things lined up to start this.
Micah Pettis, who Ole Miss was not going to start because Williams and Pounds, right? Williams and Pounds were Ole Miss's tackles going into this year. Pettis was going to be the odd man out. Florida State paid him over $1.25 million for this season. Mm-hmm. A guy that lost his starting job got paid that last year to enter the portal.
Yeah.
You got to overspend on even not great players. Is that a possibility here? Are they still
I don't think
maybe financially being smart, or what you would think would be smart to not overspend?
Everything I've ever been told about this is that the money was ready. And you look at the way State's retained players, you can see they have money, right?
Yeah.
They're not staying for free. I think it's just load hold. It doesn't inspire any confidence in anybody. And, when you're talking about transfers, a lot of times you're talking about guys with 1 year left. They want to get to the league, and they don't believe in Load Holt's ability to get them there, which I can't fault them for.
Is it too late to fire him and hire an offensive line coach that can bring guys with him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is too late.
Mm-hmm. Portal closes in a week. In 1 week.
Mm-hmm. So, now, Ole Miss.
Ole Miss visiting this weekend. Deuce Knight, the quarterback, we've talked about him. I wouldn't be surprised if on Monday we're talking about him having signed with Ole Miss. That is the expectation from everybody, regardless of what happens with Trinidad. We'll see. Reportedly, Texas receiver DeAndre Moore will be in town this weekend, as will the freshman receiver from Kentucky, Cameron Miller. Have not seen an announcement on Caden Lee yet. Some comments after the game last night tell you that you should expect him back, but I might be reading too much into it. But post-game comments tell you that he's coming back. We'll see if he actually does. You get Deuce Alexander back. People are really high on Caleb Cunningham and think that he's going to take a step forward, but he hasn't proven anything yet. You need to go get some wide receivers. Cameron Miller I think would kind of be a one-of-one replacement for Winston Watkins as he enters the portal. And there's also a line of thinking that they've already got one in the boat. They just haven't announced him yet. We'll see. And then don't know where they stand right now with Jonell Aguero, the safety from Georgia. That's the kind of – I know they're trying to be very smart.
If he signs, we've got to get the sounder of Martin Tyler saying, Aguero!
That's the kind of guy that I think you saw last night, that they assign values to players. The overpay thing I'm talking about, I think that's the kind of player that you do what you have to do to get that done. You are so desperate for an elite player at that position. That guy's that. I think you got to just go get him however you need to. It's your portal update. We'll be right back. That's your college football fix, driven by Ford.
From the Venable Glass.
Place for crazy people. If it's sports in Mississippi, you'll hear about it here. Sports Talk Mississippi on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Welcome back, Sports Talk Mississippi. So glad that you guys are with us. There is another college football playoff game tonight. I've got a stat for you, by the way.
All right.
Because through the Ole Miss-Miami game, we didn't talk about the fact that the SEC is blanked for the third year in a row from the national championship. From 2014 to 2021, there were only three, one-score college football playoff games. Mm-hmm. From 2022 to 2025, there have been 5 one-score college football playoff semifinal games.
I mean, it's just no surprise.
How about that?
It's no surprise. There's just more parity now. SEC's 2-8. I mean, anybody who's still clinging to SEC superiority at this point is just homering it up. At this, there's just no question. Like 2-8. Now, obviously, some of those losses are you couldn't win, right? Ole Miss, Georgia, that you were going to take a loss there.
Yeah.
Oklahoma, Alabama, you were going to take a loss there. But Mississippi State loses to Wake Forest. Missouri loses to Virginia. LSU loses to Houston. Alabama loses to Indiana. Texas got one of the wins. Good for them. That's probably.
That was a Michigan team, though, that their coach crash
but
out.
they got the win. I'm not going to take it away from them, though.
Ole Miss's coach had a crash out, too, and they won 2 playoff
Tennessee
games.
Loses to Iowa. I'm trying to think my way around. We did this earlier, but
Illinois won 1. Who'd they beat?
They beat Tennessee.
Tennessee, that's right.
So,
no.
Is that all right? Iowa beat
Tennessee.
Illinois beat, I'll never remember. I can't. Vanderbilt. That's correct. Yeah. Texas A&M lost in the playoff. So, SEC superiority.
No, Iowa beat Vanderbilt. Illinois beat
Tennessee.
Right?
That sounds right. There's so many losses I can't keep up with.
It's hard to keep. Regardless, the SEC has had a really bad postseason.
So, SEC superiority is, I'm not going to pull a Colin Cowherd and try to say that they're on par with the Mountain West or something, but like right now.
I mean, that's so stupid. Why is sports discourse so stupid? Why do we do that?
Because it makes money.
Does it, though?
Yes.
Who consumes
it
that?
It must make money.
Who consumes that garbage?
It's kind of like the elves on South Park. Like, step 1 is we get the socks. Step 3 is profit, but I don't know what step 2 is. So step 1 is we have the takes, and then step 3 is profit, but I don't know what step 2 is. So like right now, the SEC is not the best conference in football. You can't say that with a straight face. I guess it's the Big Ten. It's certainly not the ACC. Their champion isn't the one who's still alive.
Right. No, it's abundantly clear. And I know the calendar's messed up and people hate that players getting paid or whatever. And you just complain about that until you're blue in the face. It's not going to change anything. If you detach from the not football, the other stuff, like if you just get off Twitter and Facebook for a second and you just consume the football, the playing field in my lifetime that I can remember has never been this level before.
Right.
The talent has never been this spread out before.
You can't, you don't look at Alabama and they've got 85 of their 85, 65 or 4 or 5-star players just sitting the bench and waiting. And somebody, I forget who, maybe it was Bud Elliott, who's like, another thing to consider is geography. Like, the South is where the players are, right? Mm-hmm. And so before you had the transfer portal, you just have the great players would all go to the one or two schools, and they would just sit there and wait their turn. And if their turn never came, they were out of luck.
It never came.
And now, after 12 months there, and you're like, this is not going the way I thought it would, and they're continuing to recruit elite players. I got to go find somewhere I can play. And so that's how you end up with a Final Four of Indiana, Oregon, Ole Miss, and Miami. Mm-hmm. Oregon, I would say, is the best recruiting year in, year out school of that in terms of high school.
Yes.
Right? I mean, Indiana is not a good high school recruiting program.
Nope.
Ole Miss has been better the past few years, but they're not a great high school. They're a top 25 high school recruiting program. And then Miami's been all about the portal. I don't know what their high school recruiting has been like, but most of their stars are, a lot of their stars are portal guys. Yeah. So it's just a different era, and some teams have adapted and some teams have not. And some fans have not adapted yet.
Yeah, that is abundantly clear, too. It's just...
So we got somebody on the text line. Top to bottom, I think the overall SEC is better. It's hard to say that when the Big Ten champion won 38-3 over Alabama.
Yeah. I mean, just walloped them, man.
I mean, Vanderbilt was 10-2 in the regular season in the SEC. They lose to Iowa. That's not a great Iowa team. Missouri was a really good team in the SEC this year, and they got handled by Virginia, who decent ACC team.
But they're not or they shouldn't be anything you write home about.
Yeah.
But
you've got a lot of good teams, but I would say maybe you're right that top to bottom it is, but everybody else is catching up. Everybody else has players now.
Everybody has players now, and you look at where these guys come from. Like you said, they're coming from SEC country. I mean, the catalyst behind, I know Illinois, they haven't made the playoff or anything, but Illinois has beaten an SEC team in each of the last 2 years, and they've had better seasons than they're used to. Their quarterback came from the South, right here in Mississippi, and he was at Ole Miss. And before the portal, he'd have had to stay at Ole Miss. He'd have been the lovable backup the whole time. And maybe after Dart, maybe he would have played this year. Yeah,
there's a world where your starting quarterback at Ole Miss this year is not Austin Simmons coming into the season. It's Luke Altmaier.
But that is where we are, and so I know the calendar's messed up. I know we hate a lot about it, but when it comes down to the real, actual football, do you not love that Indiana is sitting here 4 quarters away from playing for the national? How do you not love that? From a just pure football perspective, a lot of you are financially invested, right? But when we're talking about the calendar, it's not your problem. You don't have to recruit your own roster. That's the $10 million coach's job. Yeah. It's not your job. You're not having to deal with any of the problems. And, Winston Watkins hits the portal. He's a backup receiver. Who cares? Your team, if you hire the right coaches, are going to put rosters together that can compete at a national level. Ole Miss was a better thrown football away from going to the national championship in a year where their coach left. That's what college football today is. And so I'm not saying it's broken, but too many people just focus only on the brokenness and not on the football. Because the football is compelling. It's balanced. How many fan bases believe that they can go win a title today? Yeah. What message has Ole Miss and Indiana sent to the rest of the country? What do you think if you're a program?
If you put your money in and you have the right people in place, you can do this.
You can do it. And 10 years ago, if you just hire the right coach, you can win a championship at Indiana. Would anybody have said that?
No. That, yeah.
No. Absolutely not. But here we are having those conversations. So it's in. I mean, I can't wait to watch Fernando Mendoza from Cal try to win a game tonight to send Indiana to the national championship. That's compelling. He's a compelling player. He's a good story. If you can't get excited about this because a player that you don't even know hit the transfer portal, I can't help you. Get off Facebook, and you'll really enjoy college football right now, I think.
That's somebody arguing like the SEC was had more opt-outs. I don't know if I believe that. Like from state, I know that Wake Forest leading rusher and receiver opted out of the game, but they didn't have any problem replacing them.
Illinois was missing their 3 best players, probably.
Yeah, we're making excuses here, guys. You don't need to make excuses. There's a reason the talent level in the SEC is not as high as it was 10 years ago.
Did Alabama have any players opt out of the Rose Bowl?
I don't know. I don't think so.
They got beat by 35.
Yeah.
Things have changed. Things have changed. 601-879-4395. Somebody says, Ole Miss is cooked now, and I cannot wait to see what this idiot runs his mouth about when they suck again. I think
talking about you.
Yeah.
You idiot.
No, if Ole Miss is bad next year, it's not because of the system. Ole Miss is very much in good position to take advantage of said system. So, no, it won't change my opinion at all. But I appreciate your kind words on the text line. Thank you for listening.
Idiot. No, you, not him.
I know me, yeah. It's almost like you can have opinions that don't change. It's called principles, right? that outcomes don't dictate how you feel about things. You may not have been taught that when you were a kid, but I appreciate you nonetheless. We'll keep talking about this game when we come back.
From the Seabrook.com.
Sports Talk Mississippi. To the junction, in the groove, and to the top. Sports Talk Mississippi on Super Talk Mississippi.
Welcome back, Sports Talk Mississippi. Indiana beat Oregon by 10 in Eugene earlier this season. Does that make you think that they're going to do it again tonight? How much do we read into a dominating performance from a couple months ago?
Well, I mean, if the Sugar Bowl is any indicator,
right?
Maybe I shouldn't read too much into it. But that's a little different in that Indiana went to Oregon and absolutely smacked them around. And then now in their last two games, Indiana has slowed down that Ohio State offense and then absolutely massacred Alabama. They're playing better than anybody else. So if Oregon's going to win, I feel like it's one of those, I don't know if Oregon can win, but Indiana can lose kind of situations. Mm-hmm. So it's about, does Indiana make mistakes? Well, as I mentioned before, Indiana doesn't make mistakes. So it will be so out of character for them. Also, I don't know if you've been looking on Twitter, but everybody's saying the same thing. There's nobody left in the state of Indiana. They're all in Atlanta.
It's incredible. They've taken over.
He says that it's going to be like a 90-10 crowd, basically an Indiana home game down there. And so, and that's going to play in a dome. That's going to play. That's going to play. So I think Indiana's going to win this one.
I kind of think it's going to go like last night went. That Indiana's going to be more physical and wear down Oregon. Because they are so physical and just imposing their will. That's what they did to Alabama. They were just so much physically more dominant than Alabama was up front.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of how they beat Oregon earlier this year. They just dominated. Somehow in the world of college football in the year 2026 now, the most physical football team in the country is the Indiana Hoosiers. They smack you in the mouth every single time the ball is snapped.
And the next one's Miami.
Yeah, Miami. That's why I'm pulling for Indiana anyway because I got a large contingent of Indiana friends. But Indiana, Miami. I mean, take me back to 1987, man. That is going to be some old school smash mouth football, and in
a very quick game. Oh, the suits are not going to like that one though.
Your preseason number 1 overall draft pick from 2 years ago versus the guy who might be the postseason number 1 overall draft pick. By the way, I heard. You'll laugh. I was listening to the Bill Simmons podcast. They said, if you're the Raiders, is Mendoza like the best possible quarterback you could get because he will never go out?
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about him like being at the blackjack table till 5 a.m. Like he's going to go watch film and then go home and eat a Hot Pocket and call it a night. Like. I hadn't thought about that. I was like, that is hilarious.
You don't have to worry about Vegas getting to him.
Like, oh, golly geez, Vegas? Huh? Never been there.
He'll
What do
live
they
at
got? What's to do?
Golf course way outside of town.
They got a Chili's?
Somebody
Fernando
said
Mendoza is like young Dan Mullen for The Voice, anyway.
Somebody says, I've always sort of thought it, but after watching the game last night, I'm more convinced than ever college football games are won on the offensive line. Miami had a dominant offensive line. That's also why, as a State fan, I have no confidence in the next couple of years. Terrible on the offensive line for some unknown reason, unwilling to do what it takes to get good personnel on the offensive line. It's not a money issue. Blame the coaches. It's why I would vote no confidence in Levy. That is why Miami got to the national championship. They've got one elite skill guy that should be in high school. They've got a quarterback that's played approximately 24 college football seasons. So there's experience there. But that's what it was. Offensive line play. High-level offensive line play. And, that's why I think it's vital for Ole Miss. There's a chance that all 5 of their starters are already on the team. Mm-hmm. They brought in one from the portal. They might still be portal shopping, but they have the 2 tackle replacements that are behind them on the depth chart have both signed to stay on for next year.
Yeah.
So there's a chance that all 5 of your starters are already there. And that is how you need to start building offensive line moving forward.
You get that with Lacey, and if Chambliss comes back, I mean, really strong case to be preseason number 1.
You got something there, but that's how Miami did it. That's how Indiana's doing it. They're physically imposing their will. Is the game reverting back? Because people say sports are going cycles, right? You had this big 3-point thing happen in the NBA, and there's a thought that because the players aren't as physical, a physically dominating player, like Shaq doesn't grow on trees, but a guy with that build could be so effective moving forward, and like the style goes back to the old school way. Are we seeing that in college football right now? Is the style shifting back more towards the team that can line up and just kind of run right at you and be physical is the team that's going to win instead of being the fastest pace that you can imagine? Are we seeing that happen in front of our eyes right now?
You know, that's the thing about football, right, is it just operates in circles. Offense gets better, so defense does this. To counteract the defense, the offense does this. And so, yeah, you get to a point where, you know, and you could see it in basketball, too. Like, right now, the way basketball teams are constructed, if you had 2 good post players, couldn't you win games because nobody's equipped to deal with that? Sort of the same thing here.
Yeah.
If you decide you want to play physical and all they've done is put speed on the defense and not guys who can hold up to, you know, hey, we're going to – how long was the first couple of drives for Miami? They had like a 15-play drive. I mean, if you don't have the bodies for that, you're going to lose. So, yeah, we could be seeing something like that where we look up in a couple of years and they're back in the I formation. They're back, you know, could the wishbone make a reappearance? I don't know, but they find ways to run the football out of these spread formations now, where you know Heupel's offense, the Kiffin offense, where it's still a run first offense. They still want to run the football more than they do anything else, but they're doing it out of these getting teams out as wide as they possibly can. Do defenses counteract? They go, okay, we'll be out wide, but our 3 guys in the middle are 350, 350, and 350. Move that. I don't know.
No kidding. Somebody says, yes, but it took 30 years to get there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how Michigan won. Somebody says Michigan won with that physical style 2 years ago.
Well, is that how they won? That's how they won? Physical style?
Yeah, the physical style and physically having Connor Stallions in other stadiums to scout the signs of other teams. But, I mean, they had a check-down merchant at quarterback.
Yeah, check-down merchant.
That's what he was.
He is, though, yeah. Man. I mean, yeah, no question.
Fascinating stuff. 601-879-4395. 601-879-4395. So you're picking Indiana to win tonight. That's what I'm hearing.
What's the spread on that, by the way?
Is it still 3?
I'm asking. I don't know.
It is. Oh, I'm sorry. I have the SEC selected.
Yeah.
For
there's no games today.
No games.
No
today.
games till August 2026. For that conference.
Wait. ESPN, there it is. Indiana -3 still has not moved
I would
an
absolutely
inch.
give you the points on that one as well. And call it the executive lock of the week if you want to. Indiana -3 would be it for sure.
Yeah.
What was the spread last night?
3.
3, so that did not cover.
Man, if Ole Miss would have stopped them on that final drive, I would have gotten the score exactly correct.
Would you have? Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
nice. But, you know, face mask call and then Carson Beck, third down magic.
Carson Beck running the touchdown in is the funniest possible outcome in that one. Because that's one of those.
Funny for who?
For
funny
people.
For who?
Yeah, for everybody. It's funny for everybody. Like, that's one of those, as soon as you realize he's going to take off, and if you're an Ole Miss fan, you're like, yes, 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 no. But if everybody else was going, no, 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 yes. Because as soon as he took off, I was like, what are you doing? He took one step over the line of scrimmage, and I was just like, are you kidding me? He's going to run? And then I realized, I was like, oh, wait, there's nobody there. And the rest is history.
The rest is history. Somebody says, I think it's been the ones that can run right at you aside from maybe 3 champions. Bama, Georgia, even Clemson could run the ball very good downhill. Just look at the last 5 champions. And look, Kirby Smart's Georgia has been the gold standard of the sport.
Yeah.
I mean, what? Since.
But you know what's interesting about that, though? Georgia versus Alabama is kind of the same style, right? So one was able to outdo the other. The other one is Georgia versus TCU. That TCU team was not equipped to handle anything close to Georgia.
But they did beat Michigan.
They did beat Michigan. But they didn't have, that's because Michigan didn't have the signs on them. They hadn't sent Connor Stallions. Can you imagine Connor Stallions on like the sideline for like Sam Houston State wearing a cowboy hat and a bandana? It's like writing everything down.
Man.
Could have happened.
Yeah, we did learn that TCU was tipped off about how they could have your signs, so they changed them all and then beat Michigan. Imagine that.
Exactly.
Imagine that. Sports Talk, Mississippi. So glad that you guys are with us. We will wrap up the week with you when we come back.
From the Venable
Sports Talk Mississippi. Sports. On your radio and in the game. Super Talk Mississippi.
Say whatever I like. He's not listening.
I didn't have your mic on. What?
No Axel F?
No, that's done.
Forever?
I guess.
Okay. Well, I didn't know.
It has been pointed out that the true freshman wide receiver for Miami was 11 years old when Carson Beck started his college football career.
So, how is Beck where he is now? Did he have an injury? Am I missing an injury?
Injury and then COVID year.
The COVID year. That would do it.
So somebody also took exception to me saying that he's played approximately 24 college football seasons, and he said, "Well, Trinidad's the same age." Yeah, he was playing Division II. Nobody knew who he was until October of this year. For one, Beck's played more, and 2, Trinidad's only played 2.5 years of college football. Like actually played 2.5 years of college football. He hadn't played. Like, actually been the quarterback, started games, been visible, played in conference championships on TV that you actually know how to find for very long. So it feels like Beck's been in the public eye longer because he has been in the public eye longer.
Yeah.
But yes, Trinidad's older than Drake May.
Yeah.
Carson Beck was in the same recruiting class as 2 starting quarterbacks this weekend in the NFL.
Yeah.
Division winners. 2 of them.
That's another thing. Yeah, we didn't talk about it today. The NFL
let's
playoffs.
do it. Yeah. Games this weekend.
Let's just run through them, and we'll give you our picks.
Rams, Panthers tomorrow in Charlotte. The Rams are a 10.5-point favorite.
They'll probably cover that. I mean,
keep pounding.
Yeah, the Panthers. The NFC South is just not good. The best team in the division by the end of the year was the Saints.
Apparently, Saban says no ejection for targeting, just fine them. Well, great idea, Nick. You have to make them employees to do that.
Yeah. Back to the NFL.
Packers, Bears, Prime Video tomorrow night. What a fun game that's going to be, though. Big rivalry.
Huge rivalry. They haven't played in the playoffs since, like, 81, something like that. Probably take the Bears at home. The Packers are beat up.
Possibly a weather game, too, maybe?
Should get a little weather out of that, yeah, for sure.
Sunday, Bills, Jags in Jacksonville. Oh, buddy.
Man, the Jags have been a great story this year, but I can't bet against Josh Allen here. I'll take the Bills.
If Josh Allen's going to win a Super Bowl, he's got to do it this year, right?
With
Mahomes being hurt and the Chiefs out of the playoffs.
Yeah, with the Chiefs out, this is your best chance.
The Jags are a 1.5-point favorite, though.
Yeah, they are. That's crazy.
49ers, Eagles in Philly. The Eagles are a 6-point favorite.
No fan base in the world hates its team more than the Eagles do. They hate that team. And they just won the Super Bowl last year. They hate that team. The Niners defense is so bad. I'll go with the Niners. I'll go with the Eagles.
Chargers, Patriots in Foxborough. The Patriots a 3.5-point favorite.
Nothing more unfair than it looks like the Patriots dynasty is dead and buried and gone forever because Brady leaves, and then they find the next guy. And that's what they found in Drake May. Well, Patriots win that game.
Thank the morons in Nashville for firing Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, there's that too. They had the worst coach in the league last year. Now they're the 2 seed.
Unbelievable. And then Monday night, Texans-Steelers in Pittsburgh. The Texans are a 3-point favorite, though.
Robbie
DK
Falk.
Metcalf back.
Robbie Falk headed to Pittsburgh. He'll be there with his family to watch his beloved Steelers. They have not lost on Monday night since, 1982.
What a stat.
And Tomlin has never lost on Monday night. What the hell? Here we go. I'll take the Steelers.
Aaron Rodgers, swan song. Is he done after this?
He's played well enough that he could come back for another year.
He has played well.
I could see it happening.
That place is going to be an absolute
zoo.
Be
a zoo. And it should be it should be at least cold.
Heinz Field, even though it's not Heinz Field anymore.
Yeah, whatever. It's Heinz Field.
Yeah, there's a chance that you're only getting one true weather game this weekend, but I'm down for it.
So who's our Super Bowl pick then?
Ooh, Bills out of the AFC.
Okay. I just can't buy into May or Knicks just yet, so that's probably a pretty good call.
Rams out of the NFC.
Rams, Bills. Stafford would probably, if he won this year, he might retire. Even though he might be the MVP, but he might retire if this was it. If he could win the Super Bowl this year.
That no-look stuff he does is so subtle, but it's so cool.
Yeah, he's good. He's really good.
The old Georgia Bulldog.
He is the old Georgia Bulldog too. I mean, he's got some age on him. He's like a prime ribeye at this point.
We really appreciate you guys making our show a part of your day. Be safe out there. I know weather is around this evening into tomorrow, so be safe, be careful, be cautious, all the things that you have to be in weather situations like this. I don't think it's going to be too bad, but flooding and stuff like that around the state, so just be careful because we want to see you on Monday at 3. We'll talk about the national championship matchup. We'll get that. There's basketball this weekend, and you know that there will be portal news between now and then as well. For Brian Haydad, I'm Michael Borky, and the end of college football in Mississippi. We really appreciate you guys choosing us.
Lost $100
to ride through that.
Oh, well.
We'll see you on Monday. Good night.
SuperTalk Mississippi Media Production.